Okay.
Yep. All right, so I'm recorded. And then, Mr. Stokes, you are the host again. All right. So, as you all are on here, if you could, y'all know where the chat function is on this?
Yeah.
If you could type your name into the chat, I would appreciate that. Then if you can find a place to, if your first name isn't on your image, if you could find a place to change your name on there and do that. Mohammed, yours is just under iPhone. So if you could find where to change that, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, sure. Let me do that right now.
All right. And we are recording this just so that everybody can go back and review it later. And if anybody wasn't able to be here, that way you can, they can see it and then you can review it and have all the information you need. So you got Mohammed, you go by Mo?
Yeah.
Mo. And then Dewan. There you are.
I'm trying to change my name.
Okay. Once we get going, I'll mute everybody, but for right now, we can keep it up and we all can talk and ask questions right now. If you haven't, does anybody have any questions right now before I get started?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Mr. Stokes, you might be able to change Dewan's, the one that's 292764. You click on that arrow. Yeah, you could probably change it quick.
I'll do it very easily. Hang on, let me see if I can. Her name. That's Dewan, is it?
Yep. D-E-W-A-N. All right. So nobody has any questions yet? Hope you might come up with some as we're talking through here. So it's not a big deal. And I expect as we're talking, I expect that people will be coming in and during it, and we'll keep them filled in. But that's part of the reason for recording this, is so that everybody can catch up later too. The two teachers with me, the one taking a sip of coffee or tea right now, it's Mr. Stokes. You want to tell them a little bit about yourself, Mr. Stokes?
Yes, you can see the picture behind me. I'm the English guy. I don't actually live in England right now, but I teach math, hence I have a little pin here that says the number pi. So I'm a math nerd, and you may or may not meet me. It just depends if you happen to have my class. But I do come in and help out in Mr. Boff's lab.
And then
Mr. Harper?
Well, he's the math nerd. I'm the science nerd. I will have all of you in class because I'll be teaching your science. I'll teach plant science to you. And it's closely aligned with your landscape program.
all right. Mr. Stokes, nobody else sitting in the waiting room?
Not that I can see, no.
All right. If you could go ahead and mute everyone, and then I'll start talking, and I'll share my screen. There we go. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a few things I'll be kind of bumping back and forth between some screens. But first thing that I'll go through here is it's a PowerPoint presentation. If you have questions as we're going, Mr. Harper will be monitoring the chat. So feel free to type in any question you might have with the chat. And you also have the option of raising your hand somewhere within the your on your screen for Zoom. If you want to do that as well, we'll try to keep an eye on that and see that. But the easiest way is going to be just type your question quick in chat, or just say I have a question and we'll unmute you and you can ask the question. Does that sound good? All right. So I do want to welcome you all. I'm excited to welcome in the new junior class for this upcoming school year. You are the class of 2022. So excited to have you all here. Welcome. Hopefully you're excited as I am. We've got some new equipment and some new technology that we've brought in here recently that I think you're all going to be excited about for next year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the program goals. It's really, we want to prepare you for your post-graduation success. So whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you, if you're someone who, you want to graduate from here and you desire to go on to college, we want to build towards that. If your idea is to graduate from here and start a successful career, that's what we want to make sure we have for you as well. I was in the industry for about 20 years is what I've been in the landscape industry. The 8 years prior to starting my teaching career, I worked in distribution, and I did a lot of outside sales, which I had relationships with a lot of different landscape companies. So I tell you that because that's important to know, because I have connections that can help you get different jobs, and we try to work those connections, and they come in and speak to you all throughout the 2 years you're here, tell you as much as we can about the industry and get you ready for it. You've heard me talk before, either at sophomore visitations or various events and emails and everything I've sent. The great thing about the landscape industry is that it's really a broad industry, and there's so much you can do in it. So there's really something for everyone. And I like to say that because, it's true. There really is something for everyone. So we want to make sure we are preparing you for that success after you graduate. Throughout that, we need to make sure we have an open line of communication. So, I need to know what your goals are, and, goals may change in those 2 years. So we need to make sure we're communicating openly and working through that, and that I know what your aim is and what you want to be and what you want to do. Again, introduce students to careers, schools, and employers. That's just what I talked about. So I graduated from Ohio State, ATI, which is up in Worcester, Ohio. They have a great program up there that's directly related to landscape. They have a greenhouse program. So, introduce you to schools, whether it's that or Columbus State or whatever school you may want to go to. I've got one student that that will be graduating. She applied and was accepted to the University of Alaska in Anchorage. So, there's there's options out there. We want to make sure we get you where you want to be. So we're introducing you to as much as we can in those short 2 years. Want to develop and enhance problem-solving skills. We work together a lot. We need to work as a team, and we do that in school. So during lab, we'll have different groups that I'll have everybody grouped in, and problem-solving skills through that. Work on different tasks, and those tasks are all part of building those problem-solving skills. I may not necessarily tell you I'll tell you what the end result should be, but I may not necessarily tell you how to get there. I'll give you a couple guide points along the way, but I want to see how you work on your problem-solving skills. So that'll get built along the way. Give students the skills to be successful. So I don't know if you've all heard soft skills. That's one big thing for me is knowing how to talk to people, making eye contact. Used to say handshake, but current events don't do much shaking now. So, but that eye contact and being able to talk to somebody in a professional manner, being at school, being on time, having a good attitude, a lot of that stuff. We want to build on that and make sure that those skills are there and ready to go for when you're done. I do a lot of I do 2 to 3 mock interviews per year where I'll actually bring in one of our business partners we work with, local companies, landscape companies. So I'll bring them in and actually do mock interviews where it's just no pressure. You just sit there and you have a mock interview with a business professional. It gets you comfortable, and when you're actually applying for a job and have to be in an interview situation, having that pressure off your back because you've been through it before helps out a lot. So I try to bring in that 2 to 3 times a year. It just helps out with that comfort level when it does become a real life interview that you have to do. Classroom expectations. Safety is paramount. You're going to hear about safety a lot in a career center. We work with all the tools that we really need in the landscape. That includes skid steer loaders. It includes excavators and chainsaws, and you name it. We're zero turn mowers. We're using it. So safety is always kind of that top thing. You need to be safe all the time, and that's monitored closely and kind of a zero tolerance thing. So safety is something you're going to hear a lot about. Attendance, it's a very hands-on lab and a hands-on education. So without attendance, that gets difficult. So, do expect you to be there every day on time and participating. Okay. So, there's going to be stuff that, I talked about landscaping as a broad industry. We have a lot of different specific tasks that go on in landscaping. There may be something you don't like, and that's fine because there's so many other options within the landscape industry that there's one thing you don't like, that's okay. But I do ask that you try it and participate. You never know. You may be somebody who's not really all that thrilled with driving a skid steer, but after doing it a couple times, you may love it. So just participate in it and try it out, and you're going to be better for it. Willingness to work with others is a big thing to me. It's something you're going to have to do all the time anyways. Regardless of what you do or where you go, you're going to have to work with others. So that's why I pair you up in groups a lot and give you tasks to complete and see how you work with each other. I do hope that you all become very close in the 2 years you're together in class, because you're with each other for almost 3 hours a day. So hopefully you're all close. If, there may be times where you get on each other's nerves a little bit, but you still do have to be able to work well with each other. So that is important. All right, academics. We have great academic teachers. You've met 2 of them. We have courses at all levels. There's college prep, there's dual credit, there's credit recovery. So if you're behind in some credits, we do have credit recovery, and online. So and a lot of our credit recovery is online. So we have all options for you. We have resources for students, media center. So the media center is open throughout the day. You can go in there. A lot of people go in there to relax a little bit, but they also have a lot of books. They have technology. They have computers in there you can use. We have tutors throughout the building. We have the SLC, which is the Student Learning Center. The Student Learning Center is great for more one-on-one focused tutors and help. If you need kind of a quiet space to take a test, that's a good place for that. And then we also have a computer lab. All right, so I'm going to there's a link down here, and I will click on it, and I need to switch my share settings here real quick. So you're able to see this. Mr. Harper, can you give me a nod yes that you can see this screen? Okay. Want to make sure before I talk about a screen you can't see. All right. So this link is on here if you need to go back later and get some extra help with class scheduling. You need to go to this link to fill out your schedule. Okay. And you don't need to write all this down right now. I'll make sure you have it to review. So if you have any questions, you can click on this and you'll be able to submit questions. These are frequently asked questions. If you click down here, we'll open a Google form, and then you can submit this, and the guidance counselors will see it. They get notifications immediately when you submit this, so they'll be able to see those right away. All right. And then let me go back. All right. So does anybody, I haven't seen any questions. There's no questions so far. Take a quick pause here to make sure nobody's got any questions. Okay.
If I can just remind people to open up the chat window if they can, then they'll see where they can type questions.
All right, so what I'm going to share now is, and I need to switch screens here real quick again, it's about a 4.5 minute video. And this is from our guidance counselor, Mr. Miller. Talks about scheduling and sure. All right, so it talks about scheduling and hopefully answers some questions you may have and helps out. So just listen to this video here, and then we'll get back to the presentation.
Welcome to Eastland Career Center. Did you know not only does ECC have amazing labs, they also offer an assortment of incredible academic classes. For example, math. Math offers geometry, algebra 2, algebra 3, transitions, statistics, pre-calculus, and calculus. Several of these courses are offered as College Credit Plus classes. You do need 4 credits of math for graduation. Science. Keep in mind if you're a cosmetology or dental assisting student, it is required that you complete anatomy and physiology during your junior year. That is, if you have not already completed it at your home school. Those programs are also encouraged to take chemistry their senior year. If you are in landscape design and management, it is required that you complete plant science during your junior year. If you're in medical office, it is required that you complete anatomy and physiology your senior year. And if you are in culinary, it is required that you complete biology food science your senior year. Science offers anatomy and physiology, physics, chemistry, environmental science, plant science, and biology food science. You are required to have 3 credits of science to graduate. Social studies. Social studies offers government and economics. Both are semester courses taken your junior year. Each course is worth half a credit. The electives for social studies include psychology, sociology, history through film, and world geography. If you have not completed American history or world history, those courses are available through Trekka Online. You are required to have 3 credits of social studies courses to graduate. English. English offers English 3, English 4, Accelerated English 3, Accelerated English 4, and Freshman Composition, which is a CCP course. You need 4 credits of English to graduate. Our Media Center. The Media Center provides fiction and nonfiction books in many formats, print and audio books, and ebooks. The Media Center also provides access to several databases for school projects. The Media Center is open daily from 7:45 a.m. until 2:30 p.m. It provides comfortable space for student collaboration, quiet study, printing, researching, and unwinding during lunch. Ms. Anderson, our awesome media specialist, is always available to assist you in finding just the right books or material and in using the databases to find the information that you will need to be successful at ECC. The SLC, Student Learning Center. There are several reasons to visit the SLC, which include help on assignments, taking a test, it's a quiet place to study, to use a computer, or if you need organizational help. Our awesome Miss Huey and incredible Miss Maddox are happy to help you. The SLC is open from 7:30 a.m. until 2:30 p.m., and it is open for all students. For scheduling requests, you will need to visit the website for one day. The website is onedayefcts.com. Once you're on that website, you will click the link to submit your scheduling requests for the 2021 school year. This will send you to a Google form. Please make sure to complete all of the information within the form. Welcome to ECC. We can't wait to meet you.
All right, does anybody have any questions on that? Again, these links will be on here, and I'll make sure to share all of these with you after the meeting. So you'll have that. All right. So we'll talk about our calendar. So this is pretty important. This is something you definitely want to pay attention to.
There's a question I'd like to address is what
Yes.
about sports?
What about what?
That is all through your homeschool, and we encourage you to maintain contact with your homeschool so you can still get back to your school and do sports, do band, whatever clubs you're involved in there. I personally, I'm a graduate of Eastland Career Center of the landscape program way back when, and I continue to run track and cross country from my homeschool.
Yeah, so sports are encouraged. You need to make sure we communicate what your schedule is. As far as practicing games, I know there was a situation, there was a student he played football with Bloom Carroll, and he would usually he'd have to leave a little bit early to make sure he got to practice on time. So, we just needed notification from your home school and from you and communication, and we make sure that you don't miss any of that. We don't want coming here to be a roadblock to participating in your homeschool sports and any other activity like Mr. Harper said. You want to make sure you stay active in those. So on the next slide, you'll see our school calendar. But real quick before I go on to that, this is, like I said, pretty important. So just make a little note of this. Remember this. You will follow Eastland's schedule when there are differences. So if we have a day, say our spring break is a week after your homeschool spring break, you would be at Eastland during your homeschool spring break, and then you would be on spring break when Eastland's spring break takes place. That might have sounded a little confusing. Basically, you follow Eastland's spring break and not your homeschools. Okay, so if there is a difference between the two schedules, you just follow Eastland's schedule. So it doesn't happen too often, but there will be a few days where Eastland has school and your homeschool doesn't, or your homeschool has school and Eastland doesn't. Regardless, you just make sure you follow Eastland's schedule. Okay? Make sense to everybody? Then weather, yeah. I guess you can go ahead and unmute if you need to.
How do I do that? Oh, okay.
You got it.
So will transportation still be the same?
Yeah. Yeah, so you're a little bit ahead of me. We'll talk about transportation in a few slides. That work?
All right.
Okay. So, but yes, you will have transportation regardless.
All right.
Calamity days, if there's for some reason an issue with weather or snow day, Eastland will they'll be on TV or radio and announce, online. You'll see those announcements just like any other, just like your homeschool. So you'll see that Eastland's on a 2 hour or closed, but you'll see that. If your homeschool closes, and Eastland remains open, that is at you and your parents' discretion as to whether or not you come to school that day. Because your school will not be providing transportation on those days. Okay. So since your homeschool deemed the road conditions to be, unacceptable in your homeschool's area, it's not a requirement to travel on those roads to Eastland on that day. Okay, that makes sense. I talked about spring breaks. That just falls back to follow Eastland's schedule. That's usually if there's if there's a major difference in the schedules, that tends to be where that is. It's in the spring breaks. That's why I wrote that up there again. So there's a quick preview, and I know it's blurry. I'm going to when I send the email out with this file in it, I'm going to send you an email that has the schedule with it so you can open it up and it's not as blurry. When I put it on the PowerPoint and blew it up, it got a little fuzzy on us, but that gives you kind of a quick preview of our schedule. Your first day of school, first day of classes is August 13th. And some of you may have questions on what that will look like. None of us really know right now. So stand by and listen to what the governor tells us, and then we'll go from there. So as of right now, August 13th will be your first day of school. The first day is always junior only. So you can get in the building and you have a day just kind of to yourselves to get oriented with the building and get comfortable with the building. So August 13th, there is on August 11th, you have it's our back to school night or our open house. So I'm trying to get my little laser pointer up here. So, oh, that wasn't it. No, that's all right. So if you're able to be there for our open house, we'd appreciate that. Did somebody have a question? No? All right. So that's like I said, a quick preview of what our schedule looks like. I'll send that out to everybody. All right. Now, so quickly, what our day looks like. The day goes from 8:05 to 2:19. 8:05 is basically the tardy bell. So the first bell usually rings at 7:58. And that's just kind of get you up, get you moving and towards your class. So that is our school day, 8:05 to 2:19. Your junior lab periods are periods 1 through 4. So your first 4 periods of the day are with me and your junior lab, and those go from 8:05 to 8:54. Fifth period this year, and Mr. Harper talked about this a little bit. Fifth period, you'll be in plant science, which is this year will be in a little bit of revamping. So, but we'll be in plant science. Plant science will be in the landscape room. So actually, you'll stay in for fifth period. You'll stay in the landscape lab, and you'll have plant science with Mr. Harper and Mrs. Mast. And the cool thing about that is we've got our greenhouses and facilities, and it's really been a fun time. I think planning this and getting it together, and I think you'll all enjoy it. Sixth period, you'll have lunch. It's a closed campus. I don't know if Gahanna still is an open campus. Any of you from Gahanna, where you're able to leave and get lunch. That is not the case at Eastland. Eastland provides lunch. You stay at school for lunch. You don't leave for lunch. And then senior lab periods, your second year, that's period 6 through 9. So 11:40 to 2:19. And then I put in here school to work programs. Your senior year, my goal is, and your goal should be, that we also call it work-based learning is another term for it. So your goal should be your senior year is that you go out and work in the industry as much as possible. You get a job with a landscape company, or you get a job with a nursery or a greenhouse. Basically, you get a job within the industry during your senior year, and you're out working as much as you can. You're getting credit for that. That's part of your landscape class lab credit. You would still attend to make sure you have your academics taken care of. So you would still, usually in periods 1 and 2, you would still have 1, 2, and 3 typically. You'd still have your math, social studies, science, English during those first periods, and then you would be able to leave to go to a job. I would, if you don't have some of you may not be 16 yet, some of you may, I'd be trying your best to work towards a driver's license, because that's transportation is important to be able to do that. So try to be working towards a driver's license if you have that ability. That would be something that would be a good goal for you to have to be working on during your junior year. All right, some of you may know and some of you may not know what FFA is. FFA is the organization that the Landscape Design and Management program is associated with. Augustus, you can go ahead.
All right. My grandpa was wondering when our like math, English, and social studies would be. Would that be like at Bloom or would that be at Eastland?
Go ahead and mute again, and I hear a lot of sirens. That would be at Eastland. I'm looking down because your pictures are all at the bottom, so I need to start looking up more. That would be at Eastland, and all those classes for your junior year would be in the afternoon. So you'd have your science credit 5th period, then 6th period lunch, and then 7, 8, and 9 would be academic classes again. So you just stay at Eastland all day. All those academic classes take place at Eastland. That work for you, Augustus? Okay. You're raising your hand the old-fashioned way. I like it. I just see a hand go up. All right. So FFA, it's our program, Landscape Design and Management, and then the Ag Heavy Equipment program, both associated with the FFA. It is a youth organization. If you don't know what it is, changes lives. I grew up with FFA. It really does. It is really an influential organization. Prepared you for leadership. We're going to participate in different competitions. It pushes you to grow personally and have success through agricultural education. So believe it or not, landscaping is kind of under the umbrella of the kind of green agriculture industry. So this is agricultural education. Develops your potential and helps you discover your talent through hands-on experiences. So that's different things we do in lab. That's the contests that we participate in. So through all those, we want to make sure it gives you some tools to help you achieve real-world success. So Mr. Kunka, the Ag Heavy Equipment instructor, and I, we're working to build this FFA program, and you're all going to be a part of that. And this year we're going to work and participate in more contests, and it's really going to be a fun time. So we look forward to working and building that with you all. Here is, I'm not sure who asked the sports question there, but this is a quick slide about sports. We want to make sure you stay active in everything you're involved in. Any clubs that you're involved in at your home school, any sports, if it's band, whatever you're involved in, if you want to stay involved with that at your home school, we don't want that to be something that you're not able to do. So you're definitely allowed to do it. You're encouraged to do it. And we will do everything we can to make sure you're able to do that. Your home school will have different pep rallies and assemblies. You typically are released to go to those, so you don't have to miss out on any of those either.
So that's one pep rally per sport.
Yeah.
For fall sports, one for winter, one for spring. So the way that usually works.
Yeah. So typically, yeah, it seems like it's that. So you do have those throughout the different sports seasons. So, but you do get to leave to go participate in those. And then there's clubs at Eastland. Obviously, I've said you're going to be a part of the FFA. There's diversity. There's NTHS. You've heard of NHS. NTHS is the National Technical Honor Society. And then other additional clubs that are that you'll be introduced to as you join Eastland here. Transportation. So here's our transportation. Students can drive with a parking permit. So when you do have your license, you're just asked to make sure you fill out a form and get your parking permit. Each homeschool must provide transportation to and from Eastland Career Center. And that would include those days where the schedules don't mesh. So if spring breaks don't match up, they still do provide transportation to and from. Okay, that was you, Augustus, that asked the question, right? Yep. So you still do have transportation provided to and from Eastland from your home school. The only time where it runs into that you don't is on calamity days. Okay. You do need to contact your local, your home school's transportation department for locations and times. Okay. So call at some point over the summer, talk to your transportation department at your home school, and they will tell you what time the bus departs from your home school. All right, uniforms. Let me just open this whole thing up here. We do have uniforms. You must wear your uniforms every day. They can be, and they have to be purchased through Proforma. Important date to remember is July 19th. If you order by July 19th, you get free shipping, and they ship that to Eastland, and you pick that up during the open house that is on August 11th. Okay, so you need to purchase that through Proforma. I'm going to open this link up and kind of walk you through it real quick and talk about what you need to do for that. Let me pull this up. Uniforms. All right, so this is uniforms for Eastland and Fairfield. There is a link here for a uniform fitting guide. Okay, this shows you what measurements you need to take to get the right sizes. Okay, you want to make sure you use that. And then you can click on that. I clicked on that kind of quick, so I'll go back here. Right here, all right, where it says EFCTS Uniform Store. You want to click on that, and it's going to pop up, and you're going to see all these different programs. You want to make sure you go to Landscape Design and Management, and it'll tell you minimum required for juniors is 1 polo, 1 pair of pants, and it says that required is a coverall. That is optional. If you don't want, there's times where we might get a little bit dirty. If you don't want to, you're in landscape for periods 1 through 4. If you don't want to be dirty walking through the school for the rest of the day, coveralls might be a good idea. But you can make that optional. If you don't want to order those, you don't have to. So at least 1 polo and 1 pair of pants. I would highly recommend you get 2 polos and 2 pairs of pants if you are able. Okay, it's not required, but I would just recommend it. Just depends on how much you want to do laundry. All right, so that's the polo shirt. Okay, so there's our options for polo shirts. Charcoal gray cargo work pants, and then there's your optional coveralls if you wanted to get coveralls. All right, but that is required. Okay. All right, so if we back up, then your optional outerwear. So these are your options for in school. They don't allow, there's no hoodies. Your outside jacket needs to be either one of these full zip jackets. It could be a crew neck sweatshirt. Okay, so when we get into the colder months and people want to wear coats in the school, it needs to be one of these. All right, one of these heavier ones. You also probably noticed that those polos were only short sleeve. That's what this long sleeve performance tee is for. So that's your undershirt on those polos if you wanted to put an undershirt on that polo. All right, and then there's also an option here for a quarter zip. All right, so that's your optional outer wear. Okay. Any questions on uniforms?
It does get a bit cool in the school in the really cold months, so we really do encourage that you buy something along the lines of the sweatshirt or something of that nature that you can wear. You will be cold. You don't.
Yep. Yeah. So just go through that. And if you have any questions, my email will be on here at the end of it. If you have any questions, definitely don't hesitate at all to ask. We're here to make this as easy as possible for you. So back to here. Oops, sorry. All right, go ahead, Augustus. Sorry.
So my grandpa had a question.
Yeah.
So he was thinking, like, other than the plant thing, how many other courses can I have?
Other than plant science,
Yeah.
3. So you would have your science, you'd have a math, a social studies, and an English.
Okay.
Okay.
No English.
Yes, you have an English.
Yep.
Another science.
So all of
That would
those,
be
like,
science,
for
so 2 science.
us would all be at Eastland, correct?
Correct. All,
Okay.
Period 6 through 8. I'm 6 through 9. Check
Yeah.
period.
Period 6 through 9, he's saying.
yeah. Yep. that-
Yes, there are 3 academic periods that you'll have on the afternoon. They will be mathematics, mathematics, social studies, and English language arts. The science credit is what you're having 5th period with Mr. Harper, which is the plant science.
Plant science is
All right.
different. You're having history or something.
Yeah. So that makes sense? That answer
Yeah.
your question?
I just want to make sure you got credits enough to graduate.
Well,
We-
let's get
we-
2 science.
Yeah. We monitor it throughout his time here, and
Ask
it's-
if the plant counts as a science.
yeah,
It does.
plant science does. It's a full.
That it counts as a science.
Yep.
Okay.
It's full science credit. Yep.
Okay. Great.
Okay. So I have one more question.
Go on. Yep.
With IEP, do they
Yep.
help?
Do they what?
Like, you guys have that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
IEP, like,
Yep.
Yeah,
So go ahead, Mr. Harper.
Let me talk about that plant science course for a minute, and we'll talk about that too. So the plant science course is designed really to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. One thing we do is continue to give you information on your chosen lab, and that's why the course is all a botany or plant science based. And the second thing we do is give you the science credit that you need for graduation at the same time. The class is a co-taught class. My co-teacher is an intervention specialist that's trained and certified to work with students that are on IEPs to give assistance in that area. Plus we have the Student Learning Center that Mr. Boff talked about earlier, and that's also staffed by people that are trained to help with students that are on IEPs. So it's a big part of what we do.
Yeah. Don't have any hesitations about that. All of the IEP requirements follow you to Eastland. We make sure that all those requirements are met, and we have a meeting once a year, so you won't fall behind on any of that. We'll make sure you have all the credit you need to graduate at the end. Okay.
About boots.
Could you repeat the question, please?
He was wondering about boots or something.
Yep. So that's coming down here. So no jeans. There may be a jeans day throughout the year, but overall it's no jeans. You need those charcoal colored work pants. No hats. Now when we are outside, I do allow you to wear a hat. But throughout the school, you're not allowed to wear hats. And then no outerwear throughout the school other than the Eastland logoed outerwear that I showed you on that website.
Now, when you're working, what do you wear? Like
The
what kind-
coveralls, that's what you wear.
No, I'm talking about footwear, Gus. You will be in mud.
Yeah, so the footwear needs to be a closed-toed work shoe or a boot. So,
Yeah.
so either boots or
That's what your grandfather was asking.
yeah. So
Okay.
when I say work shoe, that's not a tennis shoe. They do make specific work shoes. So
If you've
make
ever
sure,
been in the mud, you
Yep.
know what he's talking about.
yeah.
A work shoe, not a fancy shoe.
Grandma.
No, I'm serious.
No, there's-
need-
Grandma's right. There's a big difference. So just make sure. And then I would also encourage you, everybody has a locker that's right outside my lab. I would encourage you to have a pair of work boots and then shoes that you wear the rest of the day throughout the school, because they do sometimes get muddy. And we're not going to go out if it's raining and there's tons of mud out there, but you know, sometimes it's hard to avoid, and you will get some mud on your boots or shoes. And I would just encourage you to have a pair of work boots that are in your locker, that stay in your locker, and then a pair of shoes that you can wear the rest of the day. But those do need to be closed-toed shoes the rest of the day. They can't be
Do you
sliding.
need the lock for the locker?
Yes.
No,
Probably.
lockers.
Will they be doing any landscaping at all?
Yes, Grandma.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yep. you'll
They
be-
will be
Oh, yeah.
actually doing landscaping at some places. Gus is acting disgusted with me, but I don't know if it's just going to be theory or if it's going to be the real. I want him
Yep. Yep. we
because
get
I
out-
want him to do some here.
Yeah. Yeah, we get out.
He's laughing at that.
We get out and do landscaping around the school, and then there's been, you know, this year we didn't get to because our spring was cut short. Last spring we went to Millersport High School and did some landscaping on their school, and we've been in talks to expand that a little bit, try to get around to different partner schools over the next years, and just kind of work our way around the different ones and just do little projects. So yeah, they'll be doing landscaping
Good.
throughout
Actually,
their time here.
experience. Great. That's great. Not just theory. I mean,
All right.
theory
Welcome
is one thing.
welcome packets usually mailed through, there's not a definitive date right now, but they're mailed in early June. Back to school night, we talked about, that is on August 11th. First day of school is August 13th for you. There are no school fees. It's just uniform costs only. So you're not any additional school fees. But you do have to pay that uniform cost. And I do highly encourage you, try to get that July 19th deadline. Try to order by then, because you don't want to have to pay the extra shipping fee. They'll just ship it right to Eastland and it'll be ready for you when you get there. All right. So we're kind of wrapping up here. Here's my email address. If you want to write that down, again, you should all have it, because I did emailed everyone that was on the roster. So students, parents, guardians, everyone should have my email address, because I did email them already, but in case you don't, you can write that down. And then this is a requirement for me. Hang on, Gus, I'll get you in a second. Is I use Remind a lot, especially right now. We're not in school and physically in the building. I use Remind every day. If I didn't have Remind, it'd be much harder to communicate and keep up with how my students are doing. It's very important to me, not only that you're getting schoolwork done, but it's very important with me is how you're doing, not just that you're doing stuff, but how are you doing? I ask my students that every day. So I would like you to all get on my Remind class. It's already set up. If you have the app, it's all on the screen there on how to sign up. If you don't have the app yet, you can download that app, or you can text 81010 and type the message. You text to 81010 and type the message at ECC-22. But if you all get on that, then I can start sending you. Isaac's already joined. Good job, Isaac. All right. See, I get notifications as soon as you guys sign up. So.
Speaking of signing up, if I can just jump in for a sec.
Yeah, go ahead.
The visitor who's on here called Landscape. Hi, thanks for coming. Could you let us know what your name is, please? Just type that in the chat at the bottom of the screen, please. Thank you.
So I'm going to leave this up here just for a second while you guys get those. And if there's any parents, guardians, anybody else that wants to sign up for this, because I don't want just students. I'm able to reach out to parents and grandparents. If you want to get on there, grandma and grandpa, you can get on that. And I send out communications to everybody sometimes, and sometimes just students, sometimes just parents. their guardians. So I'm able to communicate with everybody on that. So it's just Remind is really it's a great program that allows us to communicate without on our phones without anybody giving out their phone numbers. I never give out my phone numbers, so we use Remind and it works. Okay. Anybody have any questions? I'll leave this up for another couple minutes, and then we'll take that off. Go ahead, Gus. You have to unmute. There you go.
I got it. Progress book. My grandpa was wondering.
For grades or for assignments?
For the parents.
For parents. My grandpa was wondering.
We use Canvas. So there are communications that go out from time to time on Canvas. All of the assignments go on Canvas. So I do encourage parents, guardians to download or to be able to access, and you'll get your access information for Canvas, and check on that frequently. I have the school that my two sons go to has Canvas. I'm able to log in there as a parent, and I can see all their assignments. I can see if they've completed them, if they haven't completed them, if they're late. I can see what grade they got on them. So it's really it's a good way for everybody to keep track of where the student is with their assignments. So we use
That's what I want to know, because I did use Progress Book.
so our data. Go ahead.
If I can just interrupt. The only thing that we use Progress Book for is to enter grades for the grade cards. So if you're used to using Progress Book, then unfortunately it'll be a change. You'll need to use something that we call Canvas instead. And there is an app for that that's available on the phone, or you can get to it through a browser.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's I haven't seen how Progress Books works with day-to-day assignments, but Canvas is really good with it. You can set up notifications for it so that if something doesn't get turned in, you're getting an alert for it, and there's all kinds of stuff you can do with it as a parent. So it's a good way for you to keep track of Gus.
That's what I need.
That's it.
What about the IEP?
Specifically, what is what?
Like, at Carroll, I have an IEP to like teach her or something. So like.
Yeah, let me answer that one then as well. Because you have an IEP, Gus, we will get a copy of that IEP from Bloom Carroll, and then you'll be assigned an intervention specialist at Eastland who will work with you and will keep a track of all your goals, all your modifications, and all the meetings that have to be done. So they'll take over from Bloom Carroll, and they'll manage that for the period of time that you're in the Eastland district.
All right.
Yep.
Okay.
And I'm sure that right now meetings are going on. You may not, whether you know that or not, meetings are going on between our staff and Bloom Carroll's staff, or all of the staff. They're called transfer meetings, is what they're called. So basically, your information is getting transferred over to Eastland. And, we're ready to run once August 13 hits. Everything's ready to go pretty seamlessly with all of the IEP and any information that comes along with it. So that stuff doesn't go away just because you're not at Bloom. It comes with you.
All right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Were there any other? I think I've left that up there long enough, so I'm going to pull that off. Was there any other questions that anybody had? Anything? No? That kind of wraps up Mr. Stokes or Mr. Harper. Do you have anything to add?
No, there's nothing really that I think we need to cover. I've been putting some links on the chat, and if you want to just kind of review those before you exit, then you can get those, bring them up in your browser, and then save them if you need to. Things like for the uniforms, also for the calendar, And so those are on there. Apart from that, you're welcome to save the chat as well. You could do that. There should be a button at the bottom that should allow you to do that if you just want to refer to that later. But of course, do look at the website. Okay.
Okay. So I guess for me, Mr. Harper, I didn't mean to jump on you. You're good?
I think we pretty much covered it.
Good. So for me, I'm just excited to have to welcome you all in for next year. You know, it's kind of been a strange end to this school year. Doing this all online has been strange. I'll admit that. So I like seeing people face to face and being able to talk to you and interact with everyone. So you know, you just don't get that when you're online. But we're doing our best with it. I appreciate you all getting on here. I'm looking forward to what we are preparing for you this fall. You know, I'm excited about some of the things that we're doing and some of the technology we're bringing in and some of the equipment that we're going to be able to work with. It's just going to be an exciting time and a good 2 years for everybody. And I will be communicating with you throughout the summer. You know, that'll probably mostly be via email. I usually send out some letters in the mail. So if you see something from Eastland, don't throw it away. So somebody, I know the central office will be sending you stuff. Our office will be sending you stuff. I'll be sending you stuff. So over the summer, you'll probably get a fair amount of mail from Eastland Career Center. I'll send email from time to time. Hopefully you've all signed up for Remind, because that's the easiest way to communicate for kind of quick communication. So if no one has any questions, I am going to, and Mr. Stokes and Mr. Harper are going to stay on here until 7 o'clock, just in case anybody pops in late. At this point, I doubt it, but we're going to hang out till 7. You are all free to log off. But please communicate as much as you need to throughout the summer. Don't be a stranger. You know, we need to have an open line of communication. We might as well develop that early. So email, Remind, whatever works best for you. Send me messages and we'll make sure that we get everything answered and make this transition as easy for you as possible. Sound good? All right. I will see you all soon.
See you guys.
Keep having difficulty unmuting myself. See you next year. If I don't have it, or if I don't have you in class, it'll certainly be in lab. I'll see you. Any more questions, guys?
Yep, you're free to go.
Meeting.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Yeah, I had to stand up. Well, I had a cramp.
Any questions, David? David Cheats is the gentleman called Landscaping. Hi, David.
David, come here. Hold on, he's coming.
Okay.
You got any?
No,
We were just wondering if you had any questions.
not really.
Okay.
No, I'm
Bye.
excited. Bye.
Bye.
I'm out.